It's 11 o'clock. I would like to call the meeting to order. I'll go to the agenda in front of me. I'd like to do the invocation, if you would lead us, Lori.
Bless this town, and may it remain a beautiful and friendly place to live. We pray that this board makes fair and informed decisions this morning. We also pray that our police officers, firefighters, and members of our armed forces here and around the world remain safe as they risk so much for our security. We also pray that our town be spared the ravages of hurricanes and other natural disasters, and that everyone associated with the town remains safe and secure. Amen.
Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. I would ask at this time, if you've got a phone with you, please either turn it off or silence it. I have to make sure I do mine too. And then ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any discussion? Sorry.
On the consent agenda, I'm going to request that item 8D, specifically the vehicle tax refund for Joseph Zuba, be removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration due to a personal conflict of interest.
Do I hear a motion to accept his modification?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor except Kip?
Aye.
All opposed? And register you as a non-vote, right?
Well,
I think it actually counts as an aye if he doesn't vote, right?
I believe
Or
that
just
there needs to be a
abstains.
vote to excuse me from that vote.
So you can pull it from the consent agenda when it comes time to the item
just don't vote on it then.
itself. There are, which I'm sure Chip will cover more in detail, but there are certain things that allow you to be exempt from
Yep.
the votes.
Okay, so right now, you would vote in favor of removing it from the consent agenda, but
Yes.
not voting on the issue.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's going to go to continuing business?
No, it'll be new business, I believe.
New
New business sounds?
New business. Continue.
Okay, continuing is fine. Okay. Let's move on then. Alice, manager's report, please.
Thank you,
I'm sorry,
Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if we actually adopted the budget or the agenda other than the removal.
We adopted it with your change, I believe.
Okay.
Say point of order, that's even better.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone in the audience. My report this morning, first off, I would just like to start with staffing and say welcome to Miss Noreen Lux. I would like to introduce her this morning. She's with us here in the back of the room. So welcome, Noreen. We are very happy to have her on board as part of our finance team. She's been hired as the accountant one. She started this Monday, so very new to the position. We're ecstatic to have her in place. So welcome.
Welcome.
Also, we are now accepting applications for the part-time seasonal beach ambassadors for the summer season. These ambassadors spend their time driving the beach strand, interacting with and educating visitors, observing and reporting violations, and report those to law enforcement officers. 3 successful candidates will start Memorial Weekend. Posting will go live this week for those positions.
Alice, what's the starting rate for that position?
$16 per hour.
Thank you.
Do you furnish sunscreen?
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate you.
I knew you would.
Okay, potential tropical cyclone number 8. PTC 8, as we refer to it, is sand work. It has been completed and wrapped up February 18th. In total, 61,000 cubic yards of sand have been placed, and this was emergency berm placement, which was a dune project, not on the active part of the beach, but in the dunes. The next phase of this project will be dune plantings that is expected to take place this spring. Engineer Fran Way has reached out to Coastal Transplants for information, so as soon as we have confirmation on scope of work and the next steps, that information will be pushed out through our website and Facebook page. I was contacted by FEMA on Saturday, February 28th, and I'm happy to say that the town's Cat B project has been approved by FEMA, and our total eligible amount is $4,330,000 and $4.3 million. So very happy to report that. We've been waiting, as you know, a long time for those funds to be obligated, so that is great news. Since this is a large-scale project, the state can create reimbursement requests now with invoices and proof of payment that are ready to be submitted. This will provide some cash flow to the town before the project's ready for technical closeout. So we're already in the process of getting that all uploaded to the state so we can start to get some reimbursement
I
coming
just
through.
wanted to really compliment you and your staff on following up on that. I know we as a board approved it, hoping we were gonna be able to get that as well. And then obviously when Wayne gets up and I start asking him financial questions, he'll tell me whether the 11 million we're owed is gonna include the 4 that's sitting there. So Wayne, be ready to answer that question, because right now we're owed 11 million by FEMA. So
Right.
it'd be nice to know. So anyway,
Yeah.
congratulations. I think that, from the board standpoint, that's huge. We had to do the work, but it's also great to have the
Yes.
reimbursement in there.
And it was good that we were in a position that we can move funds around to be able to start that project and not wait or not have a project. Because in the past, historically, the town wasn't in that position, so.
I was just gonna say,
Very
you're
fortunate.
sugarcoating it. You and I had this discussion last week, and do you remember what you said to me? We couldn't have done this project 5 years ago because we didn't have the
Right.
money up front. You know, so, I mean, that's pretty amazing. I mean, it's waiting to get reimbursed is one thing, not being able to do the project is something else, so,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you. Fiscal year 26-27 budget calendar attached to my report. I outlined a proposed calendar for your consideration. Department heads,
We don't have to.
it was provided as a separate page, it's right here.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. Here's another one, if you need it. Okay. Okay. Department head meetings were held in February and will be held through the first week of March through this week. These meetings are with the town manager, finance officer, and department heads to assess departmental needs and review capital improvement requests. This is the proposed budget calendar. I prepared around known availability of the board. If this works for your schedules, then we will proceed with making that posting. So if you want to take a look at
Yeah,
that,
it'd be
we
nice
have
to get-
proposed the 23rd,
Yeah.
March 23rd from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And that is the first kickoff meeting. That's when department heads will speak before the board and explain their requests and answer any questions, and also review capital improvements. We have 2 dates, so I have March 24th as well from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. in case we need that time. And then April 8th and April 9th, full days from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Public hearing is proposed for Wednesday, May 13th, which is the regular scheduled board meeting. Per statute, the board must hold at least one public hearing on the budget. And if you recall, we adjusted, just to make a note and for everyone in the audience, that the May board meeting was changed. So it's not the first Wednesday, it is May 13th. So I just want to make a special note of that.
If we can we try to be, maybe before we leave today, if those dates with people just kind of say, they look clear on my calendar. Wanted to make sure. The second thing is, I think, given the stuff we're going to be discussing a little bit with the property tax, particularly in the budget process, we're going to need the extra days to be able to do this. And also, I'm assuming Doug Carter will be available for us.
Yeah, I will be emailing him these dates as well for his availability. I spaced a lot of time in there in case we want to have separate days for just him to go over the capital items as well. Because you'll have a lot of flexibility in April as well.
Okay.
There's only 2 dates scheduled. That concludes my report.
Let's go to,
Can I ask a quick question? Can I ask a quick question real quick?
Sure.
Getting a lot of questions about the pier behind the fire station. Is that, I didn't see it anywhere else on the agenda. Still waiting on camo approval?
Yeah, we're still going through the permit phase.
Okay.
So once that's solidified, the contractor will be given the notice to proceed and we'll get started.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
And also, if I may ask, MGT and the police chief hunt, we haven't gotten an update since January?
Right. We just solidified the contract last week. So you'll be seeing information from me, if not at the end of this week, early next week, on the scope of work with them and what the position announcement will be in the brochure for any feedback.
Thank you.
we have anybody signed up?
I have one public sign up, and that is Mr. Shane Bartos.
In hat. Hey, Shane.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shane Bartis.
You gotta push the button
Push the button, buddy.
in the middle. There you go.
Here we go. My name is Shane Bartis. I live at 13 Osprey Drive, and I'm here today to address the Board of Aldermen for consideration of a common sense update to our beach access rules that would allow for Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes. So just to define these a little bit, e-bikes are fundamentally a little different from motorized vehicles. So Class 1 is pedal assist only, Class 2 is low speed throttle. They're both capped at 20 miles an hour, and for the most part, you're operating well below that in the soft sand. I'm an avid rider of my e-bike on the beach myself. And so, allowing them would expand, safe, quiet mobility, access to the beach. For older folks, for people like me, I have injuries. I can't pedal a regular bike without e-assist because of my knee. And especially like going longer distance, people recovering from injuries. There's a bunch of things, hauling modest amounts of gear so I can bring everything I need for the day at the beach on my e-bike. It also reduces like car trips for short beach hops. So instead of taking up a parking space of the vehicle and parking up at Jeffrey's, I can just take my e-bike. No noise, no fumes. We believe that this can be done responsibly with clear, enforceable guardrails that protect pedestrians, wildlife, and the dune system. The town could simply set operating rules such as reduced speed limit, mandatory yielding to pedestrians, and no riding in turtle nesting zones or operating on dunes, and a requirement for low tire pressure or wide tires to reduce rutting. If desired, the board could start with a limited pilot program and collect feedback from public safety, turtle patrol, and residents before making it permanent. Many coastal communities have found when these rules are straightforward and permitted devices are narrowly defined, compliance is high and enforcement is manageable. We respect and ask the board to allow Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes on the beach with sensible restrictions so we can improve access and enjoyment while preserving the beach environment that makes North Topsail so special.
Thank you. And that's on the agenda, so you might want to hang around for that, if you will. Anybody else?
That is all of our signups for the day. I did leave a public comment at each of your seats before the meeting.
Okay, and we have another opportunity for people to talk later on. So. And way.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thanks for the introduction, Mayor. I'm here, for my monthly update on the coastal engineering and particularly PTC8. Here we go, and I will share my screen. So we'll just go over just an overview of the beach and the many different projects that have recently occurred and have occurred over the last few years and are planning. As you can see here, we have the 5 phases of the beach. Phase 1 up near New River Inlet, Phase 5 down near Surf City town limit. These have been, delineated, decades ago, and we're just kind of, we just continue the phasing. It, seems to work. Phase 5, that was completed, that was the Florence and Dorian project. Then we had the Phase 4 here. The PTC 8 was the one we just finished along the phases 1, 2, and 3, and that's the dune restoration. And then the Corps, does their thing. They did it about a year ago, and we can talk about all these projects individually here. This was the Corps project up near New River Inlet. It was about a year ago, and they do it about every other year. We should get an update on the next one coming up about a year from now. This is a challenging one. The Corps hasn't been as successful in some of these, 10, 15 years ago were actually quite good and would get down to the St. Regis and would have a beach. And they were a lot better than they have been the last few years. This is a Corps project. The town and our coastal engineers, we do not have a lot of influence on this. We will continue to work with these guys and try to make sure that they're maximizing this volume. They can use some, there's the state does supply funding for this to make sure that this project does happen at least. Because actually, the Corps their funding has been a little bit more spotty for this project.
Hey, before you leave that, just real quick,
Yes.
Fran, for our next meeting, would you do us a favor? You've got the, from the Army Corps stuff, could you put together just a schedule that shows how much sand has come from those dredging over the last whatever number of years? I know you've got that, it's that kind of that update you and I talked about before about updating that one schedule so
Yeah,
that people get
sure,
an idea.
okay.
Because there seems to be a lot of confusion about, where sand's gone down, what's happened in those areas and those type of things. So if you would, I'd appreciate that. Does that make sense to the
Sure.
board?
We did update that one spreadsheet that you asked about
Okay.
before, and it's on the website.
Okay.
But I could send that up,
Thank you.
yeah.
And
But I
then-
just know
and
on this
that
there,
spreadsheet-
I just got, a request that said there's nothing been done up there, and I think also the large project is gonna hit all that as well, so, sorry, go ahead, Fran.
No, and that this project has not been included in that summary document. I can start including this in that summary document. This effort, because obviously it is work on North Topsail Beach. The town doesn't pay for it, but I will include this in that summary document. All of this effort. Here's the Phase 5 project. This was a couple years ago, but it's holding up well. And this was the Beach End Dune project. And here's just some more recent photos. And I was up there last week, but I have not been able to. I get this to you about 10 days in advance, and I could not update it. Here's that Phase 4, just that, and that looks good as well. And I do think there is kind of some spreading as we'd expect into Phase 3. Basically, Phase 3 up to south of the pier, it looks, pretty good, considering that it didn't get nourished, or the beach hasn't been nourished, the dune has. Here's that disposal area 143, DA 143. This is the largest North Topsail Beach nourishment ever. I was talking with Alice before, and we were kind of deciding, obviously, the 2 million, going for this, all 2 million is a good idea. This project can be scaled back a little bit. It would be less money and less volume. And, obviously maybe the cost itself, per unit, per unit cubic yard, might not be as, beneficial. It's good, but it still could be a good project to have. And then obviously let's keep going forward with the mayor and TI Coastal and really trying to reach for this full on, maximizing this volume for now.
And just before you leave that, Fran, one of the things that we talked about, Alice and I talked about with Chris in particular is if we were going to scale it back, we still want it to be an engineered beach. You don't want to sacrifice that, you know, if you're telling me I'm going to put a little less sand on it, but it's still an engineered beach, that's completely different than telling me I'm going to put less sand on it and we still got the same problem. So I think that's, and I think the issue is going to be not the setup fee, what am I going to call it?
Mobilization.
Mobilization fee is the key in there in
Yeah.
terms of the cost and
Yeah.
stuff, so.
But then, even then, Mayor, if you know, you broke this into two projects, if you made sure that that first project was engineered beach, then the next time, theoretically, when you get in for the second half of this volume, it should be FEMA eligible. So then that mobilization would also be FEMA, covered by FEMA. So there are different options, and we're keeping them all open, but we'll look at all the above. And then here's that PTC8, and this is the PTC8 was, you know, a little over a year ago. It was back in actually October 2024. It did take FEMA, as Alice mentioned, it took FEMA a while to obligate this one. This was probably the longest it ever took to obligate a project. We did get through with this. The 8,000 we did about a year ago. This is that critical dune restoration. We did it in April, May, so not quite. The dune has held up, which is promising. Obviously, there has been some erosion. We want to try to vegetate at least the crest here. Obviously, there is some scarping and kind of north of like this area. We might see some scarping. I was up there last week, and we can go back into this one. This is part of PTC8, and this is the entire PTC8 footprint. There were a few areas where the dune was healthy, and for permit restriction reasons, if there's a lot of mature dune vegetation on the seaward edge of the dune, and the dune isn't really scarped out at all, the CAMA will not allow us to put sand on there. But these are some photos, some post-project photos. This is south of the pier. This is that area that should easily be vegetated and take vegetation. I really do like the chances of this vegetation being able to establish. Here's some other photos, and these are from early February. You can notice the snow on the ground. There's a little bit of scarping kind of right here near the toe, but we'll just have to see. But see, obviously there's no scarping here, which is good, which really indicative that this, if we do plant this, that the vegetation will have a chance to really root and stabilize that dune. Some places up on the north end will be more difficult. And obviously there is already maybe a little scarping already. That is the narrowest part of the beach. And that is why, that DA 143 project, will focus, on that area especially, but, basically north of the pier. But it will get south of the pier too. Here's just a quick
Fran?
update of the project.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, just a quick question. You have listed there for PTC8 the potential for an additional 12,000 cubic yards?
Yes. Yes, thanks. That is the obligation, basically the obligation that Alice got early this week was for 73,000 cubic yards, and the town, and a little bit more. And the town, when our last project, our PTC8 project, was 61,000 cubic yards. And that is just, there was a back and forth when FEMA and myself, we were kind of deliberating on, I would submit something and they'd say, I submitted something for about 83,000 first. I think the number varied from 61,000 cubic yards to 83,000 cubic yards. And finally, they accepted 73,000 cubic yards. So there is 12,000 cubic yards of material that FEMA would allow us to put out there, and that material would be reimbursable under PTC 8. And so that is something, and I was talking with Alice that we could do a small project probably next season. And I already kind of coordinated a little, just let ST Wooten know that the sand haul contractor. We can kind of see what happens here this upcoming hurricane season, and then we will have 12,000 cubic yards of kind of material that the town can place that is reimbursable here coming up.
Thank you, sir. I didn't mean to get ahead of you.
Sure, no, that was, thanks for reminding me. For the New River Inlet Management Master Plan, EIS, the draft EIS is moving forward again, which is good. Dial Cordy is working on the updated biological assessment and the updated essential fish habitat studies that will go in the appendix of the EIS. And it is still under review. Ever since that Ocean Isle terminal groin went through the court, the Army Corps has added several additional layers of review. And so the town, in addition to some other kind of, COVID and some other things that slowed it down, that is also slowing down the process in general. And I think from here on, ever since that Ocean Isle groin, that this process will be, on the slower side than usual, which is unfortunate. Yes, the PTC 8 that has completed. This is the 53,000 from this year and 8,000 from last year for 61, and then there is up to that 73,000 that is available now. I had potentially available because FEMA had not obligated that yet, but that is now it is available. We can get rid of that potentially. DA 143, still working on that. The mayor, Chris Gibson, Alice, from just the permitting aspects and the easement aspects to the grant research and the funding options. The critical dune restoration, that was finished, and then the phase 4 and phase 5 projects are good. And then we'll get an update from the Corps this spring on the next Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway project, and sometimes we'll do the channels to Jacksonville. We'll see what that happens. And then we're, just continuing to work on all the funding and reimbursement elements with Alice and Deborah and Wayne and, permitting coordination on all projects. So let me stop. We'll stop sharing.
Questions? I think Laura's got one.
I just have one. So back on when we were looking where there was a little escarpment and you mentioned the grasses coming in, are the grasses a separate project or are we funded to plant that area?
The grasses have been funded.
Okay.
So that is part of that 4.3 million that Alice mentioned.
Okay.
And then ST Wooten was contract for about 3 million. We'll have to get together and really just summarize it. That I do think there should be enough that for that 12,000 cubic yard project. I do think we will have some overhead, and technically, FEMA really is okay with overages if from that 4.3 million, as long as we can justify it. When we're working with the state, the NC Emergency Management, it just gets complicated. But yes, the dune vegetation is included in that 4.3 million that Alice mentioned.
So is that something that would be done this year or we'd have to put off?
We will do it this year.
Okay.
It's important to vegetate that. And then even there was a couple spots, there was that one spot in between, there were a couple spots where we could not put sand because there was mature dune vegetation. We could probably, that is still part of our project. And I'm thinking that we can also try to vegetate that area a little bit, especially when we do think there's some areas that are going to scarp out and it might not be a good idea to even vegetate that, but we will see. And we are getting some good spring high tides here that will test the project in the next month. So we will fine tune that planting, but we will plant this spring.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on. Do a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
For your second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so why don't we then,
Mr. Mayor, before you do that, I think under 160A 75, the board should take a vote just to excuse Alderman Malcolm from the vote on the motor vehicle refunds due to his having a conflict.
do I see a motion to excuse Alderman Malcolm? Sorry.
I'll make a motion that we excuse Alderman Malcolm from the vote.
From the, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The refunds. Do I see a motion to approve? There wasn't many dollars in there, if I remember, right? It was just, it's the same thing the county does. Right. So, do I have
120, 55.
$120?
Yep,
Yeah.
55.
Right, so do I hear a motion to approve that as presented?
Motion to approve as presented.
Do I hear a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Laura. Button.
All right, Ricky, do you have some slides? Thank you. So I brought up the e-bike issue a little while ago, and Kip has helped me work on this, and thank you, whoever spoke today about that. It's a new issue for our beach. I'm not an expert in it. We're in the information gathering phase of this. And I'm gonna let Kip speak to some of the information he has found on the issue. So this isn't a meeting where we're gonna take action on this. We're just gonna do some information sharing and then see where we go from here.
So laying the foundation.
Correct.
And Mr. Bartis, I appreciate your speaking during public comment today. North Carolina has updated its classification to align with a national three-class system. This change, which was enacted via Senate Bill 576, is critical for local jurisdictions because it specifically authorizes cities and counties to regulate these classes differently. As Mr. Bartis said earlier, Pedal 1 is a class pedal-assisted only with no throttle, a motor speed up to 20 miles per hour. Class 2 is a throttle-actuated. You can move without pedaling, and again, motor stops at 20 miles per hour. And then Class 3 are pedal-assisted only, where a motor stops at 28 miles per hour, and it requires a speedometer. So the law explicitly grants municipalities the authority to restrict or ban specific classes of e-bikes from multi-use paths, sidewalks, or trails, which often include beach strands. Now, I don't know about you all, but I've also seen these e-bikes that far exceed 28 miles an hour. And at that point, that threshold, they become either mopeds or motorcycles and require registration, insurance, all the things.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Certainly.
The stuff that you mentioned, I've seen them on the roadways. So I guess you're gonna talk about the state routes and town routes and stuff like that too, right? Just to give us an idea.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah. So, next slide, please, Ricky. Let me jump down here. So we're not alone in evaluating this. Other coastal communities have already taken proactive action. For example, Wrightsville Beach has excluded throttle-actuated bikes entirely to maintain a pedestrian-first zone, while Kill Devil Hills has prohibited all motorized two-wheeled vehicles on the beach during the peak summer season. So obviously there's a trend moving towards a pedestrian-only designation to manage beach density and safety. Next slide, sir. So our primary concerns center on 4 different pillars here. The first is pedestrian safety. There is a dangerous kinetic energy differential between a person walking at 3 miles per hour and a Class 3 bike at 28 miles per hour. Now again, I recognize that it's probably difficult to travel at 28 miles per hour in the thick sand on the beach, but national data shows a nearly 50-fold increase in e-bike related trauma since 2017, with a high percentage involving riders that are under 14 years of age. The second pillar is the environmental impact. The high torque and the fat tires of these bikes can aggressively disrupt the rack line where shorebirds forage and damage sensitive dune vegetation. The third is enforcement. The interim chief has a copy of this PowerPoint, and we spoke briefly. It's nearly impossible for law enforcement officers to distinguish between these classes from a distance. A clear, consistent policy is necessary to avoid technical inspection on the sand, which would be difficult to do. And the fourth pillar would be operational hazard. E-bikes are fast and quiet, and they create a significant safety risk for our town staff, ocean rescue patrols, our beach ambassadors who are operating official vehicles in some of those very narrow corridors, especially, say, at high tide. Next slide, please. So, beyond the environmental and operational concerns, we also look at the existing safety framework. Under North Carolina general statutes, the state already set a baseline for safety that are required to uphold. Currently, Class 3 e-bike helmets are mandatory for all operators, passengers under the age of 18, and you must be at least 16 years old to ride one. For Class 1 and 2, the state requires anyone under 16 must wear a helmet. Furthermore, there's specific lighting mandated for other vehicles, a front white light and a rear reflector for any light or low light operation. However, it's important for the community to understand that while states set these minimums, the board has the authority to set a higher standard. Because of the beach is a high hazard environment with soft sand and high pedestrian density, we have the power to mandate helmets for all ages on the Strand, or even require daytime running lights to ensure beach patrols can see these quiet, fast-moving bikes along the ocean, against the ocean glare. So as we move forward, we'll be looking at whether these state minimums are enough, or if North Topsail Beach needs a ceiling that offers more protection for our visitors. So to ensure that we aren't just speculating about risks, we've looked closely at the national data, and the national trends basically back some of our concerns. A recent study in the Journal of American Medical Association, JAMA, the surgery report, reports a 30-fold increase in e-bike injuries and a 43-fold increase in hospitalizations since 2017. Most alarming is that 36% of these injuries involve children under the age of 14, and head trauma rates have surged nearly 50 times over. On soft sands, braking distances increase significantly with speed, making high-speed operation a major liability for our town and our visitors. Next slide, please, sir. So our goal is to preserve the family-friendly, tranquil atmosphere that defines North Topsail Beach. However, this is a significant decision, and we want to ensure that all stakeholders are heard. We strongly encourage our citizens to provide us with feedback over the coming weeks and months. Whether you attend our upcoming public meetings or send us email, your input is valuable to the process. We want to get this right. We need your voice to help us shape policy that works for everyone who loves our beaches.
So, you know, this is a new issue for us dealing with this. So we are trying to do some research. We're trying to figure out what we need to do here in North Topsail Beach. So again, thank you for speaking on that today. And Kip, thanks for this information. And we will continue to try to put together what we think might be something we could move forward with, but I don't think we're there yet. And so this is an ongoing conversation at this point. Thank you, Mayor.
So, just some comments. I got a couple of questions for you. One is, on the stuff that you're talking about, if the state mandates that, that's going to be, is that in place right now, Kip, those restrictions in terms of what's on the beach that you talked about before?
The helmets? Yes.
No, not the helmets, the restrictions. You said it's the other towns that have just restricted them on the beach,
Correct.
right?
There are no restrictions currently that I'm aware of.
So the other thing would be helmets. The second thing is, and this is going to be a stupid one, is he talked about having something like, and I'm going to use the golf course example. They have golf carts that have the handicap thing on it, and they're allowed to get closer to the greens. Is that something that ought to be, so that you've got people that don't have mobility?
Correct.
Okay, is that something that
I think that would absolutely be something we would consider, to provide availability to, correct, whether it be a permit issued. I don't want to create a lot of work for the town or a lot of difficulty for our law enforcement, our beach ambassadors to be able to enforce or inform people. But I think, yes, absolutely having an option for people with any sort of disabilities or limitations, I think that can be considered. And again, that's why I appreciate Mr.
No, we'll have to
Bardis's
consider
input.
that, but we also don't have the research yet to show us what other towns have done as regarding ADA compliance.
And I think it's more about, we're starting to see more and more e-bike rentals in Surf City. I mean, I constantly, as I'm driving down the road down 17, and I recognize this is, 17, this is Surf City, but that I have seen e-bikes traveling well in excess of 28 miles an hour. And in my background, I am a trained Virginia speed enforcement operator, so I'm good at estimating speeds, I can tell you. And I'm sure most people here would agree that you can see these bikes are definitely traveling faster than 28 miles an hour. I just think and I know they're not traveling that on the beaches. I've only seen 1 or 2 e-bikes on the beach down in Phase 5 area, but I think with the proliferation and the rentals that are coming, I think there has to be a good balance between residents that want or need e-bikes in order to enjoy the beach versus recreational or visitors that may be less mindful of our tranquil beaches.
Well, it makes sense too. If you remember the stuff we did on the speed limit, the #1 accident place on the island is Surf City. And if you start adding in all the other things and stuff, it's just gonna make it worse. Mark, do you have a comment?
I just wanted to follow up with that as well with, it's one thing to see what the other beaches are doing, but we need to see what our neighbors are doing as well, especially when it comes to police enforcement down there at the city line, where somebody's staying in Surf City and it's legal for them, and then they drive into North Tops when it's not legal. So that's why we need feedback from the town, and where you live matters.
I'd like to ask Captain Page, Chief Page, a couple questions.
Captain Chief.
Captain Chief, I don't know.
Chief Captain?
Mr. Mayor.
Captain Chief?
He is,
Mr. Mayor,
the big guy.
Good morning.
He's been dying to go up there. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Before the chief starts, I just want to point something out. S576 has not passed. That's sitting in committee right now, so I think this is a good conversation and looking what similar communities do, but the classes that were contained in 576 have not been enacted into law.
No, but I think that's where you were leading us, is to say, hey, let's get ahead of this, and I thought where you guys were coming from, right?
No, we're not ready to do anything, and so we've got to see what state law says.
I know our season really hasn't started yet. Last year, did your officers have, on the beach strand itself, were there any issues with e-bikes?
No, ma'am. We didn't have any incidents with e-bikes on the beach strand. The only issues that we're having, and Alderman Malcolm alluded to them, are the ones on the road. So we've got some of them that are running 50 miles an hour. And we stop those, and those are, under North Carolina law, are supposed to be registered as motorcycles.
Okay, so if they're just a regular slow speed one, the class 1 or class 2, are they still considered then a bicycle?
Correct, they are.
All
Yes.
right. And do you have a lot of problems on the roadways with them, or just starting with these?
Not a ton of problems, and I think a lot of it is a lack of education. I stopped one personally on New River Inlet Road that was keeping up with traffic. He said he bought it on Amazon. Had no idea that there were regulations as far as what speeds needed to be registered and so on and so forth. So I think a lot of it is education that's going to flesh out here in the next year or so. And North Carolina general statutes tend to be way behind.
So,
Laura had one more comment. Go ahead.
well, the other thing that I'm seeing is when they are going fast on the roadways, I'm not seeing helmets.
Right.
And
yes.
so we've got to see where the state goes with requiring helmets, and then see how that goes. Because these speeds, the trauma issues, even from local docs in Wilmington that I've been in touch with, they are seeing increased incidents of head trauma and injuries because of e-bikes and no helmets.
Sure, and once they reach that threshold of needing to be registered, if, a moped, I forget what the speed exactly is, but it's something up to 35 on flat level ground, you're required to have a helmet for that already. So I think the state's probably going to rely on that largely for the helmet requirement. I can tell you, running radar on the island, regular pedal bicycles can go 20, 21, 22 miles an hour if you're pedaling hard. So I think that's probably where that's gonna fall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
So Mayor, good discussion, and I
Excellent.
think we'll keep following up
Yep.
on this. Kip, thanks for putting the slides together.
And Mr. Bartis, I'd like to also get your input at some point, so we can continue this conversation offline. I appreciate your
Mayor,
comments.
can I
earlier.
say one thing?
Sure.
I'm just sitting and listening to this. Of course, I'm old, so I don't ride the e-bikes. But my concern would be is we're sitting here talking about trying to decide whether it's feasible for us to consider allowing this to happen. And what I don't understand is why. I mean, if we've got a quiet beach, we've got a lot of things going on, we've got a lot of retirement people, and maybe if you ask the people that's here now, how many of you would ride the e-bikes on the beach, there might be 3. But then you turn around and once you say it's legal on our beach, then you might have 153 that comes in from Jacksonville and all these other places, and you're gonna have a continual problem. And then we're gonna start potentially losing people that come here for our quiet beach and rent houses and do all those things because there's too much potential damage for their children, their animals, or whatever else is going on. So I don't see it under any circumstance that this particular alderman is going to be in favor of doing those things, but that's just my thought.
Okay, I think this, and I think I was gonna comment, and the way that you guys presented this, I like to have stuff where we think about it a little bit, but don't kick it out for 2 years, which we've done before, but to actually say, okay, here's what we're looking at, and then get input from people makes sense, so thank you. All right, next issue is Chip.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in front of everybody is new proposed rules of procedure. We really kind of did this to reorganize what the board had done for clarity and general and statutory updates. What was circulated to you, which you can see, a red line version is rather messy and cumbersome. So I tried to reduce and highlight some of the issues in a memo to you. I'm willing to entertain questions, but I think we're suggesting that the board review the proposed rules and/or approve them.
Why don't we have a discussion before we have a motion? So, Mark, we'll start one end and go to the other?
I stayed up last night reviewing them all. I'm happy with the red lines and everything. There was a little bit of verbiage there, but Chip answered those questions for me already, so I'm comfortable with what's been presented.
Chip, you weren't here at the last couple meetings. There are a couple references in number 1 and rule number 3 regarding Board of Alderman versus Board of Aldermen. There are 2 instances that just need to be corrected.
Thank you.
Other than that, I also, like Mark, did a review, and I have no other further comments on it.
After doing a review, I'm satisfied with it as well.
Okay. Laura?
The only thing I take issue with is the 11 a.m. meetings, because I think we miss people in the evening. And while we've been doing them at 11, we get a small group. I don't know whether we should look at a schedule where every other month is an evening meeting. So I do take issue with the 11 a.m. in Rule 21.
I think the
I
way that
concur with
works-
that. Unfortunately, I just thought we did that, being my first time here, that we set those meetings up every December.
We do, and actually you can, that's
'Cause I
something I
agree
think
with
that
Laura
we
on
can
that.
modify, if we're going in there, we want to move it to a different time, we can do special meetings anytime we want. Correct? This does not restrict us from doing special meetings.
It does not, and the board can always amend these too.
Okay.
If you decide you're gonna shift it, then we can put together an amendment and you can just, it's easy.
This is an issue I know you've brought up before, I would like to have input on, I go to every one of the county meetings, all right? There's one at 11 and there's one at 6, and guess what? It makes no difference in terms of attendance. The only people that ever show up are the ones that are getting rezoned or something like that, or they're getting an award, and it's 0. And we had, Alice, when you first started here, did we have some at 6 o'clock? Didn't we have
Yes,
later and
we
stuff like
started
that?
out with evening meetings and the attendance was lower than what we've seen at the 11 a.m.
Right, and I
But
think the concern
it's been a
was-
while since you have had
And
an
maybe you
evening
could weigh in on
meeting,
this.
so.
Right, I think one of the concerns is we're also keeping staff here late, and some of these meetings go on in 4 or 5 hours, they were over like 11 o'clock, so I think it's a fair comment, particularly in something, you know, if we've got people that weigh in and say, look, you know, an example of the county is if it's around a holiday, they move stuff and do those type of things. And so I have no problem with considering that, but Larry, what do you think?
Pretty much, I believe you're gonna get about the same both ways, and I think that if you get if people working and they can't come to the 11 o'clock because we live stream it, it's there available for them to look at. If they're that interested in it, they can watch it, you know, when they get home. And if they had something special that they wanted to come before us with, they would talk to their boss about getting off for an hour. So I don't think it matters whichever way we go, but I think I'm probably more in favor of the 11 o'clock.
I mean, and just one final comment on that, I think, and you raised a good issue, it would be, let's just say we're setting something up to get input from people, it's a special meeting, and we want to have a couple of those, we could have one at 6 o'clock and one at 11 o'clock, then you got, you know, kind of a breakdown between the two to allow people to attend rather than having to do both.
And I think we should look at that with the upcoming budget meetings.
Okay. Connie?
So throughout the years from the late 90s up until just a few years ago, we did have them in the evenings.
At St. Regis.
At various places. And they were sometimes well attended at night. Sometimes I was the only person in the room listening. The problem to me was, again, the staff. If you're asking them to stay until late at night and then they got to turn and burn and be back here early in the morning.
But Alice could do flex time
Okay,
for
hold on,
them.
just let me finish. And so there is that, but there's no reason that I feel that when we did change it to earlier, I do think that we have more of a crowd, but it really should be up to the citizens. We're up here to represent y'all. If you feel that we should have them in the evening, if you feel that more people, it would be available to more people, we can certainly look into doing that, because again, we represent you, and whatever the townsfolk think is really what we should do.
No, I think that's a good point. But like I said, I mean, as part of the budget, and we're getting information from people, there's nothing wrong with scheduling, you know, one early, one late, and then just see what happens. And it gives you, well, we did that with, what was the one we wanted to give people the opportunity, and I forget what the meeting was. We did that once before, so that people had two opportunities to weigh in on things. So, all right, Laura?
The other thing is, I think our constituency has changed, and I think we have a lot of new people in the community, and I think changing the schedule a little bit would maybe help engage some of the newer residents as well.
Okay. All right, so motion to approve. Do I look for a motion to approve?
Larry, have any other comments?
I think Alice did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alice.
Just to clarify on the budget calendar that was submitted, so do you want to move forward with this calendar that was proposed with the potential of adding? I'm seeing someone shake their head no.
I would,
I want us to look at some changes.
Okay, so we'll hold on that
Well,
until
you-
we get further feedback.
I'm not trying to ride over you, Laura, but we got to get a consensus on this. We're already late in getting the budget out. So if we can agree on this, and then you can always modify it if we need to modify it, but if we don't lock down these dates on people's calendars, we're gonna have a problem getting everybody in for the meetings. So we've done that before. We've added workshops, we've cut stuff.
Everybody just took this to look at it, so can we take a few moments more to look at this and propose some other dates and amend this before we approve it?
Are we on
Mr.
budget
Mayor.
calendar?
This is just a proposed schedule. You all can take it and go back and provide your feedback as to what you want, and then we'll
But let's
back
put-
with a
let's put-
consensus.
Mr. Mayor,
Let's put brackets on this, though, because if we, your staff and everybody else, we've got Carter's, we've got everybody else in there. If we take a day or so, I mean, I just quickly looked at my calendar, and so, as a placeholder, can we at least agree by consensus that this is the number of meetings we want, okay, and that generally this works?
Point of order.
Go ahead.
Should we finish finalizing the
The
procedures
suggested rules of procedure
Okay.
first. Yes.
before we move on?
so what are we doing now then?
Motion to approve the rules of procedure. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the rules of procedure that were presented with the red lines.
And
Do
I
hear a
second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we'll move on to calendar. So what I would ask everybody here to do is to let Alice know within, what is today, Wednesday, by Friday, if those dates work.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the calendar as was presented. We have had it presented for a while. Understanding that we have the right to discuss changing at any time, but we need to have a calendar to work by. We can't just go on for weeks not knowing when we're gonna do that. So I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the calendar as presented and.
The budget calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Any more discussion?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion that we amend the
I'm
March.
sorry, I cannot have another motion on the floor if there's one motion already.
But we have discussion.
You have to make a motion to amend.
have to approve that.
Right, so Larry made the motion, so Larry can alter it. However, with his motion on the floor, I cannot have a second motion on the floor.
There can be a motion. Robert's Rules of Order do allow for a motion to amend.
The current motion.
So
Right,
they-
Larry can amend it.
No. Any board member can make a motion to amend.
Yes.
So
Okay.
at which point Laura can submit
So
her-
she's amending the motion.
amending
She's making a motion to amend, correct.
Correct. So I'm making a motion to amend the presented budget calendar and to change the March 24th date to March 25th and to run that session from 6 to 9 p.m.
I can't make that date, I'm out of town.
Okay.
So, I mean, the motion has been made. Is it, now the thing is, if we don't have a second, then the motion would then die.
Is there 2 days on that one or just one? What's the March
It
one?
was seconded.
23rd and
My motion was
24th.
seconded.
What-
Your motion was, her amendment was not seconded.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion on that? Okay, you're okay with the 23rd, you're just
No.
not okay with the 24th?
I'm not okay with the 23rd, so, okay.
Are you okay with the 23rd in the evening?
No, I'm out of town.
And Mr. Mayor, also, again, for consideration, not making a motion, but for discussion, talk about planning, I am out of town April 9th through May 7th. So
We need
I would just
more
need
on
it
this, Mayor. I think we need
bumped up one
some
day.
time to look at the
Well,
dates.
right now, we have a motion to adopt the calendar, okay, and a second. Right
You
now-
know what I don't understand, this calendar, how long have we had this calendar?
This was just prepared as a proposed calendar based on availability that I knew of with the board. Because I know there's a lot of dates between March and April that board members are not available. So it's been challenging to put something together that's going to accommodate everyone's schedule.
Well,
I was,
when did we get it in our hands?
this was just proposed today.
Okay, well
So
then,
that's why, we need more time.
I withdraw my motion.
Thank you.
One of the problems we're gonna have in this, though, is that March, we have to have meetings in March, period.
And typically as well, you know, we were waiting to get through, the board's desire was to get through the strategic planning workshop first. So that's why there's been a pause on this. Normally, you would have had a proposed calendar by now.
Right.
But the will was to wait until we got through the planning workshops.
Does anybody have a problem on March 10th? March 10th? Is everybody good?
Is that too soon for you, Alice, if we did
That's next
something
week.
next week?
It's next week.
Yeah, that, we can't, finance, Wayne and I would not be able to turn that around for next week.
What about the 16th?
If you all just want to send me a
Can we
list of
send
your
you a list?
available
Okay,
dates,
And we need
and
to
then,
get together and look at dates.
Yeah.
then staff and I will sit down
Okay, just for
and
looking
put
at
out a
purposes,
calendar.
does the 16th work? We gotta have something in March, we can't wait. We can't wait till April to have a budget meeting.
After 12 o'clock, afternoon, I can be there, but early morning I couldn't.
I didn't
Then we
think
could start late.
I would ask that you send me your list of available
Okay.
dates at this point.
Okay.
You want
let's do
available
that.
dates or unavailable dates? I don't know which is more convenient for you.
I'm confused.
Just
I mean,
send me a
that's-
list
I know
of
that's
your
unusual. But-
send me a list of unavailable dates and
Are we talking
times.
about the date for the meetings or the
No,
date for the budget?
The budget workshop.
The workshops.
Huh?
The budget workshops.
Not our regular meetings.
Well, y'all were talking about holding the regular meetings at night.
No, no.
Separate issue.
Separate issue. So this is this schedule
This one
that
right
we're
here.
looking at. Look at this.
Currently being
I
discussed
know what you're
is the
saying, but
budget
I
workshop.
was talking about the meeting dates and y'all
No,
were
They're all,
talking about
those are all set.
Those are
Okay.
all set for the
the,
computer.
I'll
Right,
go,
so
I'll go
how-
have my brain checked this
If everyone
afternoon.
could just send me
When do you
a
need it by?
list of, by the end of this week,
Okay,
a list of dates that you, and times that you are not available.
okay.
And then
I know we'd love to
staff
have
and I can sit
100%
down
of
and-
participation, but do we have to have 100% participation for these budget meetings?
If we hope to, but
I
the reality is
definitely
you
want
can't.
to.
I think we want to. I think the problem in this whole thing is we have to have budget meetings in March. We
Well-
cannot wait until April to start budgeting meetings with her. And so if, what I ask people to do, I think that the week of the 9th is too early. You're not gonna, that's next week. They're not gonna be ready for this because we've kicked it down. So please take a look at, like, the week of the 16th and the week of the 30th, and then lock the other dates in, Alice?
Well, the week of the 22nd, right? The week of the 16th, Alice, and the week of the 23rd?
23rd doesn't work because you're not
No,
there and
no,
I'm not there.
Right, later in the week, you're not good?
I'm gone from the 25th. I'm going to see my son.
So you're
Already
not-
got flights out, yeah.
You're not back the 27th?
Nope,
Okay. So we're looking at the week of the 16th and the week of the 30th?
Right.
Okay.
and you're looking at least one date, Alice, if not two, during that period, correct? Okay, all right, let's keep moving then.
All right.
All right. Next one is, I think Deb.
So to clear up the mud, send her our unavailabilities.
Right.
Okay.
Just, well, actually, now I just say, here's what
All right.
available that week.
This week of the 16th, week of the 30th.
I'm sorry, Mayor, so we had a motion and we had a, okay, all right.
Good morning, Board. You'll recall on February the 11th that you adopted the mitigation strategies for the hazard mitigation plan. On the 12th, the Planning Board reviewed the Southeastern North Carolina Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan and the resolution to adopt the SENC Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan, and recommended unanimously that the Board of Aldermen adopt by resolution the Southeastern North Carolina Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan as attached to the staff report.
To adopt it as presented?
I'll make a motion to adopt it as presented, the hazard mitigation plan.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That'll be sent to ESP and Associates to be forwarded with the package to both the state and to FEMA. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Thanks, Deb.
All right, let's move on to the strategic plan update. And you're up.
All right. Last month, the board attended a workshop in New Bern. The whole board was present, and Alice came with us as well. This is put on by the League of Municipalities. We're working to come up with a strategic plan. And I'm gonna tell you just the 4 focus areas that we looked at. Our first one was safe, vibrant, and healthy communities, to promote an environment where our residents feel safe and enjoy access to community opportunities and amenities. Our second one was organizational excellence, maintain a governmental organization that is responsible to our citizens and provides a high-quality level of service consistent with expectations and external guidelines. Our third one was revitalize town infrastructure, promote revitalization efforts in pursuing ongoing opportunities to improve residential, commercial, streets, recreation, and infrastructure in the town. And our fourth one was environmental character, and that was to promote, protect, and enhance a healthy and sustainable natural environment. Now, this is a document that we're still working on. We're using it as a framework right now as we go through the budget season. But we're gonna keep working on it throughout the year and really have it in place as a whole document so that everybody can look at. We still are going to be looking for community input
And staff.
and staff input, and so that this is a big collaborative effort that we've all done together. And I do have, the league sent back a draft of what we had talked about. It had some errors that I'm going over, spelling, grammar stuff. I'm cleaning that up for Kip.
lot of it.
And a lot of stuff, Rick and I were going over, a lot of stuff that they kind of slid in there that doesn't pertain to our town. But
And wasn't our language.
it wasn't the stuff, yeah. But that's all right. That's all right. It's a living document. And I know Rick had some stuff to
Yep.
talk to about it.
Just real quick, go to the next slide, Rick. Okay, we've talked about what a plan is. Go to the next one. What we talked about at this thing as a board was high level, okay, what are the 4 focus areas gonna be for us to start the conversation on this? And then below that were objectives. So the idea right now is we'll recirculate kind of the markup that she's got to the board here, but we don't have input from you, and we don't have input from staff. And also, we have a critical path is the budget. And so the idea is, on the focus areas we agreed on, and I think this is the language we use, so we're pretty close to that, is to get that at a very high level. The next step is, as part of the budget process, when Alice and her team present to us, we'll see how consistent they are with those things, and then that will drive the objectives. For example, if we decided we wanted to build a mini museum or a mini Eiffel Tower, and we came back as a board and we looked at it and says, well, now we've looked at it and that's a nice to do, but it's gonna cost $100 million. We can take it off the list because of the feedback. I'm using an extreme example. But the whole point is, it's very hard to go to the objective section, okay, past the general comments we've had until we figure out 2 things. One is, what input from you all, input from the staff, and most importantly, what stuff costs. And we've hired Doug Carter, who's going to be part of our budgeting process. So to quote Mark, we have to differentiate between the have-to-dos and the want-to-dos and how much money we've got. And so the plan right now is, and you can go to the next slide, I think it's just, we're presenting today just at a high level what those things are. We're going to schedule the budget workshops. That allows us several days to get input from the public, to get input from staff and their presentations, and as importantly, figure out what the cost of the things we want to do are. And if you remember, Fran was talking about the beach project and what we can and can't afford. Until we model those things out and look at what costs are going to be, not just today. And Connie and I were going over the whole compounding effect of expenses. You know, something that today we used to have a thing called the rule of 8. Everybody here that's older knows what that is. If I have an 8% return in 8 years, I've doubled the cost. So if I've got something today that cost $1 million, in theory, in 8 years, it's $2 million. Well, we have to plan for those things too, to make sure that we've got the money for a fire truck, for police cars, for public, whatever we need. And a lot of that's gonna drive, and I think on our priority list, we talked about this a long time, is we may look at stuff that we would really like to do, but can't afford today. And then we start looking at money, we look at grants, we look at other things to do that. So basically, today, we just wanted to lay out the first draft. The interesting part of what they sent us back, and the hardest thing that you had to change was what? The picture.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
We're a beach town.
They
And
had
tell
a
what the
map.
picture,
They had a mountain scene with beautiful trees with the leaves changing colors and, yeah.
One is, it's a short presentation, but it's to get it out there. And again, when we go through this budget process, the big thing is going to be feedback from staff and from people out there as we go through. And everybody knows we'll be talking about property taxes. and this type of thing. And again, managing your money and managing what the town does, for the first time, we're gonna figure out what it looks like 5 years from now, so that we're putting money away. What Alice talked about before with the plan we just did, 5 years ago, we didn't have the cash to do that plan. We have to know what we've got, what money we've got for it, and how to be good stewards of your money. So enough of lectures. So I think that's all we wanted to present. It's a very high level at this point. And then she's gonna, oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
So the other idea behind strategic planning is that we keep realigning our goals year to year with the
Yep.
strategic plan. But
Living document.
the strategic plan as a living document will be adjusted as we go along too. But if you don't have a plan to follow, then when you're making hiring, when you're doing budgets, you have to have a plan to go against to support the strategic plan. So you want to keep it as a living document, you want to keep it out there. Eventually, when we have it, it'll be out on the website so that everything we do as a board, whether it's this board or people in the future, their actions should be in support of the strategic plan.
Well said. The other thing, it's a scorecard. It ends up being a scorecard, because every year you look at it and it says, we thought we were gonna get this done, we didn't. And I looked at the Nags Head one, which was kind of interesting, because when they post their plan, they literally have a red line underneath it that says, last year, this was our goal in black, this is what we did or didn't do. And so each year, it's a scorecard to keep us accountable for your money.
And
So,
same thing, if we put $10 million aside for, heaven forbid, a storm, and next year we don't have one, and then we have 20, and then we have 30, then we can drop it back down to 10. So just like everybody's
That's the point,
checkbook,
exactly.
just like everybody's checkbook, smart spending of your investments.
okay. Thank you.
No, your microphone wasn't on.
Next is appointments.
Yes, so we have, after our last meeting, I called because we had not received any applications for the Board of Adjustments. I did call other applicants for other boards. Mr. Stephen Newbern and Miss Kim Browning are both interested in serving on the Board of Adjustments. I will say that Mr. Newbern was appointed to BISAC as an at-large. However, I do still recommend his appointment. The Board of Adjustments is really important. I know they have cases they need to hear. But I recommend that the board appoint both of them. There are availability for both on the board.
So we have, how many people we have on the Board of Adjustments now? None, right?
No, we have some. We have
I'm
two.
sorry, I meant to say.
We don't have a
two open
quorum.
slot. That was
Yes,
the
we have
question.
two
the
open slots.
Okay.
And I have two applicants
Okay.
presented.
So, we can vote, or we can just do a motion to approve both of these, whatever you want to do, Mark?
I make a motion that we approve both candidates, Stephen Newbern and Kim Browning, for those
Thank you.
positions.
I second that.
Any other discussion? Chip, I think we're okay doing it. We don't have to do blind ballot on something like that, right?
No, I think you're fine.
Okay, all in favor?
First off, I'd like to thank both of them, and I thank Alexis for reaching out to them, because having been on the Board of Adjustment and worrying about quorum from time to time, it is definitely a vital need for the town by code and by our rules and laws that allow builders and such citizens to get alterations. So I really do appreciate them stepping up, and encourage anybody, as there are vacancies, to please apply, because we desperately need the input of you all on our committees, on our boards, and with all the stuff we've already discussed.
And the show for meetings?
We need that domino effect and tidal wave of getting more community involvement. So thank everybody that puts in these boards.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
The next one is the byways. I can't go this year. The other thing too, we have confirmed through council, that does not count as a meeting. We don't have to worry about a quorum at that meeting, so more than one or two people can go to byways. Different than the planning session that we just had.
So the request today is for the board to consider and approve the silver level sponsorship in an amount of $1,200 in attendance at the 2026 Byway Conference. And that's held at the Emerald Isle Islander Hotel, April 23rd and 24th. The $1,200 sponsorship covers entries for 2 attendants. So that's what's included in the $1,200. And then anyone else would just let us know if you want to attend, and we will register you. And
Well, let's do a
if you
motion.
need a hotel room as well.
Let's do a motion to approve first, and then you can weigh in. Okay, do I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Do we hear a second?
A second.
Okay, now discussion.
Alice, didn't we have this in the budget, though? It's a budgeted item, is it not?
It's a budgeted item, however, it was expressed to me that you still wanted to bring these items up as you went through the year for approval.
All right, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Next, Alice.
Yep. The second item that we have is the Topsail Island Shoreline Protection Committee request for delegates. And this is for discussion for the participation in the annual Washington DC trip that's scheduled April 20th through the 23rd. So a lot happening that week in April. So they're looking for 2 delegates to be assigned to represent the town of North Topsail Beach.
Okay.
And this is along with cities, the towns represented being Surf City and Topsail Beach as well.
And just background, in the past, I would have gone to this, I'm not available, I think you're going too. Connie would come in my role as pro tem. Larry has been dealing with these people. We're only allowed 2 delegates at this point. I thought the logical one would be Larry, because he's already talking to Ann and all the other people up there to be able to go up for that. So I don't think we need a motion on this. I think it's just, it's consensus, that's okay for people to go.
I think
'Cause
that's
we could always
appropriate,
change it if we had to, but,
So who do we
Well, and there are
It'd be
expenditures involved,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
with the trip, it's,
but those are budgeted too.
yes.
Okay. The other thing too, Larry and I have talked about, given the things that are going on with Cobra, he's gonna be following up with the lobbyist about whether we need to have our own meeting, with them directly, and I think you'll hit some of that in your report at the end. I don't have any problem going up with them, but again, we're looking for our pie, which is the Cobra thing, so I think we need to, if it's necessary, I think we would come back to the board and then try to get approval to do another meeting, so. All right. And then the next one is on Raleigh. I am available for that one.
Is there a consensus
Yeah, I think
on
Ken's-
the
I think, I
DC
thought
trip?
everybody,
Larry and
we're okay?
But I'm,
Larry and who?
Larry and Connie.
I'm sorry, Connie.
Yeah, and
Larry and Connie.
as you said,
You are
unfortunately, I'm unavailable for those dates.
Yeah, me too.
Connie, you're available?
Yeah, she is.
Okay, so you and Larry.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Then the next one's Raleigh. I would like to go to that one, and I'll try to coordinate, normally, I guess the other one would be the mayor and stuff, and I don't have a strong feeling about who else would like to go to the Raleigh one.
I would
And-
like to attend that one as well.
Okay,
And I also would be interested in
Okay.
going, since I'm unfortunately missing the DC. I'm very interested in the DC lobbying and meeting with people, having lived there. But since I'm available for this one, I would like to throw my hat in the ring for that
okay,
one as
what
well.
I would do on that one is, we can give them, and 2 or 3 people that might,
Yeah, I don't know if there will be availability for 2 to go or 3. There's more leeway with the Raleigh trip as opposed to the DC trip, so that will be determined
Okay.
at a later date.
yeah. So we'll just, what I would say is, if you're interested in it and you're available, just shoot Alice a note, and then we'll just figure out that piece of it. Because what I'd like to do before then is, and I've got a lunch to be scheduled with Tim, especially now that he's been the commissioner, to sit down and talk about ways to work cooperatively. And when he and I have talked in the past about trying to do things in Raleigh to get our name on bills, and to work with them and to work with their teams about ways to work together. And that's on my list of stuff to talk about things we can do in Raleigh together.
Yeah, I just wanted to use full names so that everybody
yeah.
listening and in the
Sorry.
audience
Yeah.
knows who they
That's the
are.
chairman of the Onslow County, he's a commissioner there.
Thank you.
Tim Foster, so, okay. And we're back to open forum.
I did not have any signups for the second open forum. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak?
Apparently Hannah does. Come on again.
Please make sure you state your first and last name and your address for me.
Hannah McLeod, 1835 New River Inlet Road, North Topsail Beach, of course. I have two things. I would hope that the people who are applying for BISAC or position on one of our boards be acknowledged that you received their application and told that maybe next time, or if they need to resubmit or whatever they need to do. I know some people that have applied and they don't know where their status is. And the other thing is, with our reevaluation from Onslow County, I would hope that our board take into consideration and speak to the commissioners about adjusting rates for us, especially those who have lived here for a long time. We're not rental people, we are happy to be here and want to stay, and hope that we can make adjustments with that. Thank you.
Hey folks, Rusty Walker, 115 Seagull Lane. One thing I'd like to say is I'd like to commend the board for what you're doing as developing, putting this 5-year plan together and giving us an outline, giving us folks out here an outline of what your visions are. I really do appreciate it, and I commend the fact that at least right now, you're trying to stay focused on it and keep things moving, because in the past things tend to get bogged down and the bog's too deep. But with that said, I think when you were talking about asking for public comment, when and how will the public be able to give their input and suggestions on what we'd like to see or what we don't want to see? But at some point in time, how will we know that the period is open prior to budgeting when the public's input is asked for and accepted? Thank you.
That's a good comment. We'll work. We need to get that out so people can do it.
Suzanne Van, 1921 New River Inlet Road. I want to say thank you for all the hard work, for Topsail Dunes, the breach that occurred a long time ago has been fixed, and we really, really appreciate that. And I would like to concur with the greatest degree of respect and need of what Miss Hannah McLeod said. Please help us on these tax revaluations. It's tough out there, and they do need to be looked at. Thank you.
Can you turn? Yeah, thank you.
Sam Ferrari, 148 Seagull Lane. I wanted to just quickly talk about two items. One, the e-bike ordinance. Before I moved here, I was an avid e-bike rider. Some of the weather has precluded that, but also the roads. The roads are pretty dangerous. Only on 210 is there bike lane, so the beach is an option. I will tell you from my past experience being involved in clubs, e-bike clubs, a lot of municipalities have put an age restriction on under 16, because most of the injuries, most of the problems are groups of kids that get together, and boys will be boys, and they alter these bikes that can go pretty fast. So I would think helmets and maybe an age restriction that are easy to enforce would be the way to go. And then maybe even some limit to some public beach areas where you can't ride across them because that's going to be the most population you have. And I saw that down in Florida where that was restricted. The second thing is I wanted to applaud you on the strategic plan. I know my first meeting I came to, I asked about a strategic plan. I would hope that the draft that you have, that you would post on the website so you can get some input, and a public input meeting would be great. So thank you.
Attorney's report.
Nothing today, Mayor. Thank you.
Let's go to Mark.
First of all, thank everybody for coming out. Anybody that goes to the North Topsail Beach website, send any of us emails as you want to. I know that I've only been doing this for a few months and have received probably at least 10 or 15, and we try to read them every day, every other day. We may not publicly get back to you, but I try to provide some type of response so that you know that you were heard. So as far as preparing for public comment when we move into the strategic plan, your voices are heard. Last month, the Jumbo meeting was for a different group. This month, it is next Thursday night, so we'll be attending that. And Sunday was a tease on the weather. This weekend's supposed to be nice. So we're going to see that change of two cities going from residential and 62 average to changing really quick, guys. So that's all I have. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
So I was looking at last night on the calendar to see kind of what everything's coming up. So first, I'd like to touch on a critical safety matter. North Carolina Severe Weather Preparedness Week is going on this week, and today was a statewide tornado drill. So I wanted to encourage all of our residents to take this time to review their family emergency plans and ensure that your emergency kits are fully stocked and ready for deployment. Very briefly, I want to mention the North Carolina America 250 as we approach the nation's 250th anniversary. There are wonderful historical events currently open in Onslow County Museum. They just opened. I just happened to visit there for the first time a couple weeks ago, and they had not opened that exhibit, but it is a pretty amazing museum that features a lot of Onslow County. Looking at this calendar as well, don't forget, Sunday we get an extra hour, or we lose an hour of sleep as we spring forward, so please make sure to spring forward this weekend. Also like to recognize that March is Women's History Month, so where we honor the vital contributions of women have made to our nation, and specifically to our town administration, we thank you. It's been a very productive month for our long-term vision. Following our regular meeting on February 11th, we held the special Aldermen meeting to officially kick off the strategic planning process, which has been mentioned. That was immediately followed by the robust small town strategic planning workshop, and these sessions are essential for ensuring the North Topsail Beach remains a resilient and thriving community for years to come, and we desperately need the input of our community for that moving forward. In addition to the planning sessions, I attended the planning board meeting on February 12th, the Onslow County Board of Commissioners meeting with the mayor on February 16th, where I spoke about Ocean City Beach Citizens Council, and the Topsail Island Shoreline Protection Commission with Larry on February 19th, where we continue to coordinate regional efforts to protect our coastline. Regarding our town staff, as you had mentioned, we're looking for talented people to join our team. On top of the beach ambassadors, there is also currently an open for fire captain position within the fire department. Applications are being accepted through March 31st. The beach ambassadors being accepted through April 3rd, and we still have the building code administrator position open until filled. So if you're interested in serving your community, please visit the town website for those vacancies. To wrap up, as we head into a busy spring season, I want to wish everyone a very happy and safe upcoming Easter holiday. And finally, while we opened our meeting today in prayer for all of our service members, I wanted to specifically acknowledge the heightened anxiety many of our local families are feeling regarding the current conflict in Iran. With so many of our neighbors at Camp Lejeune personally impacted by these developments, I want to reiterate our thoughts remain with our troops and their families during this especially stressful time. And that concludes my report.
You notice we didn't have any report today on our beach renourishment or our COBRA plan, and we don't have a lot to say, but I want to make sure, I want you to know that we're still working on that fervently. The current status right now on the COBRA plan is that we are waiting for Congressman Murphy's meeting with the Director of Wildlife and Fish and Wildlife. Our Ferguson, one of our representatives on the Ferguson group who is leading that process, was in their office this past Monday to discuss what needed to be done and said at this meeting. And so we seem like we have wildlife issues both in the state and the federal, but we're once they go back to them just to reiterate, all right, this is what you said and this is what our people said they would do, which is what you said that you would do. How do you want to move forward before they take it to the Senate to get House for a vote? So it is happening, and we're following it up with that. I have conversations at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, with either Congressman McIntyre or with Ann Duran of the Ferguson group regarding that. So the fact that we're not having anything to report, we are behind the scenes working on that. Same thing falls true with the beach renourishment plan. Our renourishment of phases 1, 2, and 3, we've still got that in. We're still working the same process. We had reported to you that Department of Wildlife has stepped in and has tried to keep us from using our DA 143 that Fran was talking about for getting our sand for doing those 3 phases. And that's an ongoing situation and conversation taking place. We are making some progress, but it's hard to get the government to move very quickly. I have found out since I have become an alderman that things don't happen as fast when you're in this kind of an environment as if you're running your own company and you can just say, go do this. It doesn't work that way. So we are working with that. We are still dealing with that process, and we're still working towards the funding. Even while we're working towards the solving the problem with wildlife, we're still meeting and trying to get money from the shallow draft funding project and also other avenues. Yeah. So we're working on those things, and just know the fact that we didn't have it on the agenda today is because nothing overly new is happening, but we're working every day on that. Thank you.
Okay, Laura?
I want to thank everyone for attending the meeting, and yes, we'll get out to the public when the public sessions are for the strategic planning input and for the budget workshops. And then, I don't know, Mayor, maybe we can get something where it's a specific email or whatever people could send in for budget suggestions or for strategic planning suggestions.
Well, I would suggest they go to Alexis, right? Anything you got, so
It
she
should be
can do
directed
that.
to our town clerk.
Right, send it to the town clerk, because then we'll all get it that way.
Then we can gather those. The other thing I wanted to mention was the MCI East MCB Camp Lejeune elected officials luncheon is coming up, and Mr. Barefoot and myself will be in attendance, and that gives us an opportunity to represent the town of North Topsail Beach and also share with the other elected officials there some of the efforts that we're working on here in our town. Thank you, Mayor.
Pro Tem.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out or watching at home, and to remind you that the budget workshops that are coming up, when we do have them scheduled, they will be put online, and they are open to the public. You're welcome to attend. Please do attend. You can come in, have your input. You don't have to stay all day, since I see a lot of them are from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., but you can look at the agenda, come and go, or stay all day with us. That's all right. Also, I want to address Hannah. With the recent reval, and we all got those letters in the mail, and we are very cognizant of that, and we are going to really be good stewards with the town's money, and listening to some of the Onslow County commissioners, they're very well aware of that fact as well. So as somebody that lives on a fixed income, I'm telling you, we're gonna look out for you.
There you go. Alice, did you want to add anything before I go?
No, go ahead.
And yeah, I did talk to you about this before. I actually was on the phone with Kevin Turner, who's the tax administrator for the county yesterday, to find out what was going on. Royce Bennett posted something the other day that I thought was one of our commissioners talking about. They're going to have to do something with property taxes. I pulled, I'm the numbers guy. I've been pulling the numbers already to look at this stuff, and we're up about 40% overall is what they're showing for the assessment for the town. The rumor is, that's Onslow County. The rumor is that Pender County is 100%. So they have not had a reval in 8 years. So that's going to be, if that is true, that's going to be a very interesting discussion. There's no question that we have to take a hard look at property taxes and to model that out. And one of the reasons we're bringing in Doug Carter and them is to figure out what to do with the money, where we're going to spend it, and those type of things. And going back to something Mark said, between the have-to-dos and the want-to-dos, what we're able to do, how we're doing that, and to be good stewards. The other thing, when I talked to Kevin about, Alice and I met with, I won't mention them, several people at the Reef. And what they were talking about was a discussion about a condo. One lady said a condo that she bought 20 years ago, she couldn't sell for the same price. And that, and with the revals coming out, when I was talking to Kevin about it, he said, look, those are the people that need to appeal those things. Come in, you have the right to appeal your assessment. But I would say do your homework and understand that the way that they do that is not individual house by house. They've got some algorithm that they do to come up with the valuations. Kip, I think you appealed it last time it came out because he said my neighbor's house is at X and you're telling me I'm at 20% more than X. That doesn't make any sense. You can appeal those things as well. But I can tell you, at least from my perspective in talking to this board, we're going to take a hard look at what we've got to do to reduce the rate for property taxes. We've been very blessed here with the amount of sales tax we've been able to get, Alice, over the last couple of years, accommodation taxes and things like that. And frankly, money that the county's given us, $500,000 for the firehouse, money for the beach, those type of things. And the other thing, working cooperatively, and Alice and I talked about this last week when I meet with Tim Foster, is to figure out ways that we can work together to share expenses to bring down the cost of things going forward. And so the whole idea on this board is we're going to take a hard look, and that's why I think the budget process this year, Laura, in the past, it hasn't been as detailed as it's going to be this time, is we need to really scrub this thing out. And keep in mind, the only thing that this board can impact are property taxes, accommodation taxes and sales taxes. There's also legislation being proposed in Raleigh relating to property taxes. Hannah and I were talking a little bit about one thing was putting a cap on how much they can go in. I think, Kip, you guys talked about in Florida, they've got homestead exemptions. I know they have that in South Carolina. They're looking at ways to mitigate that type of thing. So I can tell you my commitment, and I think the board's commitment, is we're going to look very hard at what we can do to minimize the impact on people. And then one last comment on that is when I say that it's 40%, somebody may go up 80% and somebody may go down 20%. That's the old average of I got 1 foot in hot water, 1 foot in cold water, I'm in warm water. It doesn't work that way. Everybody's house is different. The impact on your house is going to be different than somebody else's house. The last time it was a reval, my house went up more than 100%, all right, even though the average was only 30. So it's going back and forth. Again, we'll take a hard look at it. I know the commitment from Royce, and I'll talk to Tim about it again, is they know they have to cut the rate and see what's happening. And like I said, I was just showing Connie the reval, and she was like, in terms of the town. So the good news on that is these big houses that are being built right now do add to our tax base, okay? And they're going to be making a contribution going forward. And having Doug Carter and the people here working to minimize the impact. And again, to Hannah's point, which is a good point, is, and she and I were just talking about this before, tell me I bought a place for $100,000 that's worth $500,000 today is great, unless I'm not selling it. And I still got the same house and I'm still paying more taxes. So anyway, with that, I wanted to thank everybody for coming and really appreciate your time. And please give us input on things relating to priorities, because if we're going to take a hard look at the budget, there's going to be some things that we're just not going to be able to do, just like you do your own budget. So with that, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
All right, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.